This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for another entertainment podcast. Now, for some of you, you think that the only people that are out there recording are the ones that you hear on the radio day after day after day. Like, isn't that music getting a little bit boring? I mean, it is to me. That's why I like doing these podcasts. Today, I have David D'Alessio with us, and um, he's a father, a husband, a working man, into music, writing, creating, producing. Did I leave out anything?
Sleeping. He
Oh,
left.
who's
I
sleep?
try to do that every so often.
Right. So let's go back a number of years and tell me, like, what made you decide that music was something you even wanted to pursue?
I don't. I think I'm like most artists, where it's not something that you decide. It's just something that you feel compelled, like you have to do it. It's just a kind of means of bringing yourself into the world, and it's like, and what choice do you have? So I don't know, saying that I had a choice or not, or what made me decide to pursue it. Being born, maybe.
I mean that's a fair answer. I mean,
Yeah.
some people think that the reason they're into music is when they were in utero, mom played, lullabies, and they didn't like lullabies, and they grew up to play heavy metal.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
all different stories. But I think you're really right. It's something that if it's within you, you just find a way to bring it out and to produce it. Uh,
Yeah.
so we're pretty glad about that. So do you produce all your own music, or do you do cover music as well?
uh well, I've covered some songs, yeah. I mean, I do a variety of things. I do the production end. I sing. I've been, hired out to do singing on other tracks. And I'm also a writer, so I do a lot of writing, which other people sing as well.
So where do you get your ideas from?
Oh gosh. Well, maybe I'm just having a conversation with you, and you say something kind of that just hits my ear the right way, and I'm like, where's that gonna take me? So, I mean, it's kind of it's a combination of a lot of things, like a timing, the place that you're in, and just who you're talking to. It can happen anywhere.
Well, and I find that interesting because there are some people who tell me that, they only want to do love songs. So
Hmm.
they go looking for those situations so that they can get into it and write a love song. Um,
That just sounds like a bad idea.
some of them actually come out good.
But then, now you've just written a song right there. You see, you just wrote a song right there.
Okay. Well, I want some of the money from the song
Okay,
when you put it together.
we're gonna talk offline afterwards. All right.
Okay,
So,
that sounds good.
yeah,
So you're in a big market. You're in New York,
yeah.
and it's. I mean, it's a big market to begin with, but being in New York, being a songwriter, being a performer, um, how easy is it to get work?
Well,
Put you on the spot there.
yeah. How easy is it to get work? I mean, you make the work. I mean, it's kind of the way it is. It's like if you want to go and get work, you go and you hustle and do it. I mean, that's the New York way. Um, you know, my end of things, which is the singer songwriter thing. It's kind of like when I have a project like the one I'm working on coming out, that's when I start to sort of rub two sticks together and try to create fire. But in between, it's a lot of the other stuff that I talked about, like, cutting tracks for others or writing songs for other people. So, I mean, it's a life that swirls around and around, and hopefully you can grab something out of the tunnel of wind every once in a while. So,
And a lot of people think that they have to be in New York or Nashville or LA to make it in the music industry. Um,
Yeah.
and the reality of it is,
Yeah.
if you're good at what you do, you can make it anywhere, but you have to hustle. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the big thing. Yeah.
I mean, everywhere in this country has music. So I don't care where you are, you can have an audience of two and you've still got a scene going on. So, I mean, that's,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So what's it been like this past year with the pandemic? I mean, I know you're writing for other people, you can still lay down tracks, but performances have been really only online.
Yeah. Yeah. And I haven't done any of those either yet. I mean, there may be a point. I will say this, Karen, that this past year has been really great for focusing in on this EP and getting it done because everything came to a standstill. So I said, well, this is the thing that, this is the coal that's been in the fire that's been bugging me this whole time. And so I'm going to, just put my back into it and get this thing done. So, uh, I kind of have a positive experience. I
Well,
don't want to belittle the other things that people have went through, but on that front, it's been good.
Well, I think a lot of us can now look back and see a lot of the positive things that we have done. It may not have felt that way while we were doing them.
Yeah,
Um, we may have felt like we were missing out on things, but I know here at New Cleveland Radio, we just keep adding more podcasts, and people will say to me, "But why?" And it's like because there's more subjects that we all need to touch on. Um, Even when we're doing entertainment interviews, we're finding that there is such a backstory that helps everyone run their creative juices. I mean, you don't have to be a singer songwriter to be creative. You can be creating something else.
yeah,
And but it comes from deep inside and you can't wait for somebody to finally hear it, see it and just say, "Oh yeah, that's terrific. I'll pay you $1 million for it." No, you got to put the work in.
yeah.
Uh,
I'll be there for that deal.
Me too. So
Yeah.
tell us what is special about this EP.
Oh my gosh. Well, uh, I think this EP is a love letter to my wife, and I think that's probably the best way to summarize and say what's special about it. And if it's special because it's our experience together, and it's and I think there are many themes on this that many people connect to when falling in love, finding the right person, having those times be challenged, the trials and tribulations that you go through, in partnership. So it's my story, it's that story.
Well, it's your story because you wrote it and you're
Yeah.
performing it.
Right. Yeah.
Many of us probably will hear our story through your story.
This is my hope. Yes.
Well, and I
Humbly.
believe it
Yeah.
because as
Yeah.
I heard you explaining what the EP is, um, my husband and I are married 37 years, and
Oh, congratulations.
thank you. And just today, he's out on a project and he's having a rough day, and he called me at a point where I really couldn't talk, but I was trying to. And I felt so badly because it was like, I love him. I care about him. He's my best friend. He's my husband. He's everything. And yet I realized I had cut him off when he needed me. And
Mhm.
so when I could get around to calling him back, I did. And he was too busy to talk to me. Um, but it just proves that there is a love story, and um, when you hear somebody else's, you can find those bits and pieces that say, yeah, you know I'm not mad at him, he's not mad at me, and this is part of our journey. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear the EP.
Well, thank you. Me too. Me too.
When is it scheduled to come out?
We've actually just sort of found a timeline that's going to work. So I think that the final thing will be out. Uh, well, I've been saying summer, and summer goes all the way till I believe September 21st, if I'm not mistaken. Am
Right.
I right about that?
You're
So
right.
I'm going to bank before the end of summer. I'm going to
Right.
bank on that, and it could be September 20th. So
You know,
yeah.
and you know what? When it's not summer here, it will be summer someplace else. So
It's
hey,
just that
we've got it.
too.
We're covered. We're covered.
That's right.
Um, hey,
Don't give me any ideas.
do you have any other big projects that you're thinking of in the back of your mind that are going to follow this EP?
I mean, I always think about what is the next group of songs that I'm thinking about writing, and like anything, it's always sort of just this amorphous cloud that's sitting out there, and I'm thinking about it, and it's kind of hovering in the back of my mind, but I don't have a clear concept for it. I mean, I'm still writing, and still writing for others, so there's always sort of like that creativity that's going on there, but to really zoom in on a set of topics is take something special. I have thought, I'll say this, I have thought the title of this EP is called This Far Apart, and I've thought about making, just kind of continuing to write with that theme,
I
because I think there's other themes in that I haven't explored, and so I feel like, there could be like a part two or something like that, or maybe a prequel.
like that. What I
Yeah,
also like about is that um, you're writing about something that is part of a journey, a continuous journey.
yeah,
Um, and in today's world, um, so many young people uh, don't have a lot of faith in relationships in marriage.
yeah.
And, you know, having you come out with something that, might just hit the nail on the head and for them to say, you know what, I've been looking for perfection. There is no such thing as
Hmm.
perfection, but
Hmm.
there is something out there. And
Yeah.
let me take a look at it. Uh, and I happen to have a 30-year-old and a 45-year-old, and um, they've been looking for perfection their
Mm.
whole life. And I keep saying to them, hey, you're my kid. You're not perfected. Gotta
Ain't
work,
that the truth, right?
gotta work at it.
Yeah.
So when you are busy writing, do you actually sit down and write from beginning to end? Or are you one of these writers that writes it and then you sort of like put it away and maybe come back to it later? And later could be years later.
Oh, everything is just like lickety split. Like, what you hear is when I wrote it. It's just exactly. No, actually, this actually is very segues right back into what you were just saying about your boys, and that is that you've got to work at it. You've got to chisel and sculpt, and it's just like relationships, right? Relationships are something there might be a spark or a flame that brings you together, but you've really got to. There comes a time where there's like this. All right, well, I didn't see that before, or and it's the same thing with songs. You're like, I didn't hear that before. Oh, is that a better way to go? Is that what this song is really about? And I mean, and I do that a lot of times. I mean, there's a song on this EP where I wrote it, I finished it, I hired a videographer. We wrote out a script, and I sent it to one of my friends who's been a confidant for years. And she said, who's this guy singing this song? I don't hear you in this song. And I blew her off. I said, forget it. I don't. What are you? I don't know. You don't know what. You don't know me. and then it stabbed me in the heart after that. So, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so right. There's no, the me, I wasn't being honest with myself in it. And she could hear that in the performance and the production. So I blew everything up and started over.
Well, and I'm
Yeah.
and I'm glad you shared that story, because a lot of people out there, when we listen to music, it's our assumption that, oh, you had this great idea. You sat down, and you started putting words together, and then you heard a sound in your voice, in your head, and you put that sound to it. And before you realized it, a song was born. Um, and I know that my youngest son um, has been writing songs. He cannot write music, um, and but he'll hear the sound in his head,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll go to my brother, who's a producer, and he'll say, "Okay, it has a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this," and they'll play with it, and then they'll put it to bed, and I'll
Mm.
go, "Well, what happened to that?" He goes,
Yeah.
"No, I'm not ready."
Yeah.
I'll go, "Well, why? It sounded good." It only sounded good to you. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
sound good to me.
Yeah.
And then years later, he'll pick it up and he'll come up with it and maybe even rewrite most of the words to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, "Okay, I'm ready." And by
Yeah.
that time, I have forgotten all about that song. I'm on to something else. But what I want people to really understand is that it's not something that happens overnight, and it is a process. And we can love it, but if you don't love it, it it's not going to help you produce it well.
Yeah. I can't remember who said this, but it was a big Facebook thing at one point, but it was like, the real thing about being an artist is developing your aesthetic, right? And honing in and crafting it. And that is the thing that makes every artist and all art unique, is that you spend all of these years working on what sounds good, what feels right for you. And that's what you bring to the world more than anything else.
Ab- Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen for me, because I told my boys for Mother's Day I
Hmm.
want a sketch pad and charcoal pencils,
Hmm.
because I want to try art.
Yeah.
And they're laughing at me
No,
because
it's so fun. Why? Why?
how I draw. And I said, but you know what?
Yeah.
Just might come out. And if it
I
does,
recommend sidewalk chalk, by the way. It is a lot of fun. You could still use that stuff.
I could.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can entertain my neighbors around here.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's not write any messages or
Oh,
anything like that.
okay.
Just do the art thing. The art
Oh,
thing.
okay. So you mentioned that you're married and you
Yeah,
have families. I'm assuming you have kids. Am I
I
correct?
have a yeah, I have a daughter. Yep.
Is she into music?
Yeah, she's young. She is in choir, and she loves to sing. Um, I'm not pushy like that. I just feel like if she wants it, it's there for her. We're happy to let her express herself in her time, but she hasn't like sat down and said I want to play piano or guitar or anything like that. So I mean, music, again, I guess for me has always been a joy. I've always wanted to be born of joy and to be continuing in joy. So um, I don't want to force anything on her.
And that's probably the best way to parent any child. Uh,
Yeah. Sometimes you got to put your fist down and say,
well, there's certain
yeah,
things, but
right.
trying them to follow in our footsteps, or assume thinking that this is what they're good at, if it's not what they really want to do, um, why?
Yeah.
So kudos to your daughter. I hope she is enjoying
Thank you.
choir at least.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
and it's all about the enjoyment of music.
Right.
So again, you have this EP coming out. Tell us again the name of it.
This far apart.
This Far Apart.
Yeah.
And we know it has something to do with his love story with his wife.
Yeah.
And we look forward to more of the story.
Yeah, thank you.
And keep in touch with us. Let us know when that's going to happen, so that
Will
we
do.
preview it, and you know, we all need love in our life, and just having you on it just has given us an extra spark today.
Well, thank you, and it's my pleasure to be here today as well.
Well, we wish you well. Stay safe in New York, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Karen. Take care. Bye.